Larvesta and Volcarona are finally debuting in Pokemon Go as part of the Instinctive Hero Event. So we had that event with Blanche and the Lapras with the broken hairpin. Well, now we've got a Spark themed one with a Team Instinct armband. And cool thing about the Elect too is that you can evolve this into Electabuzz and Electivire. So if you get, I don't know, one with good Master League stats or something, this could be a nice flex on your opponents there. But more importantly is Larvesta and Volcarona are now coming to the game. Volcarona is a big fan favorite type Pokemon, really powerful Pokemon. There's kind of like a Magikarp Gyarados vibe going on. So for this particular region, a lot of people love Volcarona. And I guess you're going to have to love it a lot because it's going to cost 400 Larvesta candy to evolve. And at this moment, it appears that it's only going to be egg exclusive. As for the other elements of the event, you have an increased chance of getting shiny Pokemon from 2km, 5km, and 10km eggs, which is kind of benign because they're adding Larvesta to that egg pool, and I imagine it's going to be boosted in that egg pool so people can actually hatch them. So this isn't debuting shiny, so whatever's in those eggs would have a increased chance of getting shiny. I don't know. It sounds kind of scammy to me. And then they also highlight these interesting, lovely Pokemon as options that can hatch from 7km eggs, many of which have a shiny rate with, Mantike debuting for the first time as shiny, but these are 7km eggs, not 2, 5, or 10km eggs. So it's all very stupid. Niantic is very stupid. I really kind of hate them at this point, but you know what? Let's not focus on that. Let's talk about Larvesta, baby. So taking a look at Volcarona's stats here, we have a whopping 264 attack stat, which is pretty nice, and some decent bulk with 189 defense and 198 stamina. When it comes to Volcarona's move pool, we got Fire Spin and Bug Bite backing it up for the fast moves, and Overheat, Bug Buzz, Solar Beam, and Hurricane for the charge moves. So right off the bat here, Volcarona is looking like it could be one of the better, if not the best, Bug-type raid attackers, and then on top of that, a really powerful Fire-type raid attacker too. Taking a look at GamePress's DPS TDO spreadsheet here, you can see DPS-wise, Volcarona is one of the best non-mega, non-legendary type Bug-type Pokemon on the level of a lot of the different Shadow-type Pokemon here with the Bug Bite and the Bug Buzz moveset. Even if you sort it by its overall performance, you can see that it is number 4, even when compared to Legendaries, Megas, and Shadows. So Volcarona, very powerful Bug-type Pokemon, very powerful for raids, especially when it's in the rain. Swapping over to Fire-type Pokemon, you can see that Volcarona isn't making page 1 here. There is a lot of competition when it comes to being a good Fire-type, but we can see it here on page 2 being roughly as good as the Chandelure is. So really powerful Bug-type raid attacker, and not too shabby as a Fire-type either if you're looking to flex a new Pokemon, show it off, or at least have a little bit of variety in your life. While things are looking pretty outstanding for Volcarona in raids, it's not looking so great on the PvP side of the force here. Fire Spin and Bug Bite aren't the worst fast moves around, but when you're looking at this stat product of 1600, you kind of need a little something something in order to stand out compared to anything else. For reference here, 1600 stat product is about the same level of bulkiness as in Alolan Raichu. So not unusable, but you kind of need a little bit extra to stand out in the meta there. And Fire Spin and Bug Bite don't really lend too well to that. Bug Buzz and Overheat are both pretty good attacks for PvP. Hurricane and Solar Beam, definitely not so much. But I'd say the whole package deal here is really missing like something in order to really bring Volcarona home. And this issue is going to follow it in the Ultra League and in the Master League as well. So current potential for Volcarona, quite small. If you really do want to use it, I mean, it does have Overheat and Bug Buzz. So if you get into like a domineering matchup, that could work out pretty well for it, and you could put in some work. I mean, if your opponent doesn't shield the Overheat, well, then it's a great way for them to lose, right? But I don't think it's exactly an advisable Pokemon to bring to PvP. I have Volcarona compared to Talonflame here, though, because I do think that it does have some future potential with its signature attacks. Volcarona has a signature fire type attack in the main series games called Fiery Dance, which has a 50% chance to boost its special attack by 1 stage. That could translate to Pokemon Go, and if it's a lower energy cost charge move, maybe something on the level of Night Slash for instance, then that could help Volcarona get some much needed speed to take things on and also have a boost potential there. It also has a somewhat signature attack called Quiver Dance. Quiver Dance is a bug type like stat boosting move in the main series games that a variety of like butterfly and moth themed Pokemon can learn. It increases their special attack, their special defense, and their speed by 1 stage, so we could see that move also added to Pokemon Go as a more consistent boosting move, maybe something like Obstruct, but maybe a little bit better to help Volcarona out. If Volcarona were to get either of those attacks, maybe Flame Charge somewhere in the mix too, Volcarona could be a like ramp up kind of Pokemon, sort of like what Talonflame is. Now we don't have a big Brave Bird to back it up, but we do got a big Overheat. So if we had like Quiver Dance as the like Flame Charge move and then Overheat as like a big nuke attack, Volcarona could take on a pretty interesting role. In general, being a flying type Pokemon is almost always better than being a bug type Pokemon, but when it comes to this specific kind of job, especially in the Great League and the Ultra League metas, being a bug type does have some advantages. For example, you're not neutral to ice type attacks and you're not weak to electric type attacks. So against Registeel, you're gonna not have to shield the Zap Cannons where Talonflame would have to, and then you can't really get bullied down as easily against like a Shadow Alolan Ninetales or a Azumarill as Talonflame might be. So Volcarona could have some advantages if it gets those boosting moves in the future. But as it stands right now, Volcarona looking like a pretty hot raid Pokemon, but not so much a PvP Pokemon. Future updates though. And then finally, the future is now when it comes to Larvesta. Larvesta has a little bit more stat product than what the Volcarona has, and on top of that, it has the Flame Charge. So it can be the Bug Fire boosting type Pokemon here with a big old Bug Buzz to slap things with. Now, Ember is a lot slower than Incinerate is, so it's not going to be as explosive, threatening as the Talonflame will be, just off the speed alone. That will still be a detriment. But, you know, the Galarian Stunfisk, the Registeel, and the Trevenant, they really don't want to see this thing. Even Medicham doesn't have a super comfortable time against Larvesta here. I don't think it's exactly a good Pokemon for the Great League, but it sure is a spicy, interesting pick that could work out. And if you do trap a advantageous matchup here and you are able to get the ramp up, that Bug Buzz does put in some pretty serious work against a good amount of Pokemon hitting for neutral, even resisted at times. It can do a pretty good number on them. So Larvesta has some chops, maybe be a little mentally prepared to see it out there in the open meta. When it comes to cup formats though, I mean, if you're in a fire type cup, you're taking neutral damage from fire, you're hitting opposing fire type Pokemon for resistance, so that's not very good. And if it comes to a bug type cup, we got the Crustle there, ruining your life, so you'd have to be a little bit careful with that as well. But hey, there could be formats where you could see Larvesta spicing it up, maybe in Sylph Cup formats. One thing that is a little bit of a bummer with Larvesta though, is it's a cool fire type Pokemon. We got the Element Cup, Little Cup, whatever, coming up in the near future again. Can you use the Larvesta there? I mean, you technically can, but you can't hatch it if you're above like level 14 in Pokemon Go, right? So just like the Salandents and the Sneaslers of the world, only cheater pumpkin eaters, for the most part, will be able to use a Little Cup Larvesta. Will Pokemon Go do anything to circumvent this? Probably not. So that's about all I have to say about Larvesta and Volcarona here. If you got any questions on this content, of course, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content and you want to see more like it in the future, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description.